request from a friend for some stretches for triathletes. So that's what we're gonna do today. Let's get started. I do have a band. This is more like a belt. You can certainly use a stretchy band as well, or an actual belt that you would wear around your waist. Whatever you have at home is fine, but save that for later. So from here, I want you to stand with your feet hip distance apart. You're going to inhale your arms up and overhead a few times just to warm up the body using the breath. Inhaling the arms up, exhaling them down, holding the abdominal muscles in to protect your back from arching as you're reaching up and down. One more time, lift the arms up, keep them overhead, big inhale. Grab onto one wrist, so I'm grabbing my left wrist with my right hand, and then I'm going to pull gently on that arm and side bend. Make sure to keep your chin lifted, again, belly drawn in, so that you're not sticking your butt out and arching your back. And then inhale, lift, grab the other wrist, exhale over to the other side, stay here for a couple of breaths. Really trying to breathe deeply into the side that you're stretching. And then inhale, lift up, exhale, arms come down. You're going to clasp your hands behind your back, roll the shoulders down and back, and open up the chest. Again, always keeping the navel towards the spine to protect your low back from extending too far. Breathe deep into the front of the chest. And release the hands. So I'm going to step back on my mat because I'll be working forward, we're bending forward. So again, standing with the feet about hip distance apart, you're going to inhale your arms up and overhead. Exhale, curl forward, dropping the head down towards the floor, only as far as is safe for your back and your hamstrings. So you never want to stretch into a danger zone. You always want this to feel like just a stretch and not pain. So I hang and dangle down, letting my arms relax. You can certainly bend your knees if that's more comfortable for you. But nod your head yes and no while you're here. And then I'm flexible enough to touch the floor, so that's what I'm going to do. But if you can't, you can put your hands on your shins, above your knees, your quads, or just let them dangle in the air. But I'm going to stretch down as low as I can. And then I want you to do some knee bends. So bend and straighten the knees. Maybe you don't get all the way to straight, that's fine. Breathing in, breathing out. Trying to loosen up the hips and the hamstrings. One more time. And stretch and see if you can't reach down a little bit lower now. Now you're going to walk out on your hands several steps away, and we're going to do what's called treading through the feet. So you're going to rise up on your tippy toes, and you're going to bend one knee as you drop the opposite heel, and then switch. Nice and slow and steady. Relax your neck, let your head hang. Trying to stretch through the feet, the ankles, the calves. And then you're going to lower both heels and lean your hips back towards your heels to stretch through the back of your legs. Breathing deeply. And then softly come down to your knees. And then we're going to do a cat stretch, cat-cow, to round the back and stretch out the spine. So from here, make sure that your hands and shoulders are in line and knees and hips are in line. And several times we're going to be rounding our spine to the sky. So take an inhale first, and then exhale, tuck your tail, look towards your navel, and round your back to the ceiling, like a scared cat. Now go the other way, where you lift your tail, lift your head, and let your belly hang to the floor. If this is not comfortable for your low back, then just stop at a neutral position where your spine is straight rather than arched or extended. And again, tuck the tail, scoop the belly, nod the head, look towards your navel, push the floor away from you with your hands and your legs, and then go the other way. Inhale here, exhale, tuck and round your spine to the sky. 2 more times. Inhaling to extend, exhaling to flex the spine. 1 more time, deep inhale, and take this at your own pace. And exhale, curl the spine. And then coming to neutral, I want you to bring your big toes together. Knees go a little bit wider apart than they were. And you're going to sit back onto your heels to stretch through the hips. So go ahead and reach the arms forward if you can. I have a shoulder issue right now, so if this isn't comfortable for you, you can bring your hands back behind you and let your face rest on the floor. And just breathe deep and try to relax into the stretch. Now, if your hands were back by your hips, reach them out in front of you again. And this time, walk your hands over to the right side of your mat, reaching through your left arm and really stretching far to the right. And then walking over to the other side of the mat, this time reaching through your right arm, again letting your head hang through your arms and trying to stretch through from your right pinky finger all the way down to your right hip. And breathe deeply to stretch from the inside out. Coming back to the center, this time we're going to lay on our abdomen. So just kind of snake out onto your belly. We're going to do one more extension of the spine, a baby swan lift. So from here, your hands are kind of close to your shoulders or your ears. Make sure that you drop your pubic bone towards the floor, squeezing your glutes slightly to protect your low back. You're going to inhale and press yourself up. Maybe, like me, until your arms are straight. Maybe you can only come to your forearm position. Whatever works for you, just be careful of your low back. I want your feet apart for this stretch. And then you're going to lower back now. Inhale, squeeze the glutes, press into your hands, rise up. Exhale, lower down. It's important to take your abdominal muscles with you. So tighten your abs on this one so that you're not just letting your belly hang to the floor. One more time, inhale, lift up. And exhale, lowering down. And then again, press back one more time into that child's pose position that we did earlier. This time, I'm going to choose to have my knees closer together. You can do it like we did before where the knees are wide apart, toes touching. I'm just gonna keep my knees close together. That feels like a good stretch for my hips and my knees. And then I'm gonna have you come down onto one side. You can face either direction. We're gonna do a quad stretch and a spine twist. So I'm gonna lay on my right side. Your head can just hang to the floor. If that's not comfortable, bring either your arm underneath you or you can put a block or a pillow underneath your head, whatever works. So first things first, I want you to grab, if you can, your top ankle, and you're going to gently pull that leg back behind you to feel a stretch through the front of your thigh. Important, I don't want you to lift your knee way up to the ceiling. Make sure your knee is straight in line with your hip as you're pulling back. If you can't reach your ankle because you're really tight, that band that I showed you earlier, put it around your ankle and just grab the band and pull from there. So as you're pulling your heel towards your bottom and your knee back behind you, make sure your abdominal muscles are pulled in tight. Almost a little tuck of your tail will help you feel the stretch more, but will also protect your back. And breathe deeply. I think most physical therapists will tell you to hold a stretch for anywhere from 30 seconds up to 2 minutes. For the sake of time today, I probably won't hold the stretches that long, but you can pause the video and stretch however long you want to in each position. And then from here, release the leg. Bring your legs in front of you more into a tabletop position so that you don't have to work too hard to hold up your hips. Bring both arms in front of you on the floor, palms are stacked. Let your head hang down if that's comfortable. Again, put it on a pillow if you need to. I want you to bend your top arm as you drag your hand across your bottom arm, then across the chest, and then rotate and reach back, trying to flatten your shoulder blades as close to the floor as possible. This will be different for everybody, and don't force it. Just go to where you can. Try not to lean your hips back or roll your hips back. Try to keep them stacked. So that might mean you can't go as far through with the chest turning, but that's okay. Look back behind you as well so you get a stretch through the cervical spine of your neck. Breathe deep, and then bend your elbow, drag the arm across your other arm, and reach beyond the length of your bottom arm to stretch through the back of the shoulder blade. And we're going to do this again. Drag your arm across the other arm, open up the chest, reach back, but keep your hips stacked. Look back behind you, because generally where your eyes go, your body will go as well. And then reach across the other arm. Let's do one more on this side. I always try to hesitate there for a breath or two, and then reach beyond the other arm. And then you can just roll over to do the other side. I'm gonna sit up and turn so that you're looking at the front of me and not the back. So for the first one, you're gonna grab your ankle, rest your head on your bottom arm if that's comfortable. Notice I'm a little tight in the shoulder, so when I go to grab my ankle, I kind of had to lift my foot up, so my foot's really high in the air. You don't want that. You want to try to keep your leg in line with the hip so that the leg's not way up in the air. But once I've got it, I can usually lower my leg and then pull back. So my bottom leg is just bent kind of in a chair position, slightly forward of my body to leverage me so that I don't fall backwards when I'm pulling on the top leg. And this is a stretch for the top of the thigh. If you don't feel it, but yet you can't pull your leg back very far, tuck your tail, and that will help. Pull your belly button in, tuck your tail, kind of curl the pelvis a little. That will help you find the stretch. And breathe deep. Be careful not to take a lot of tension in your neck and shoulder with this arm that's reaching for the leg. So try to really roll that shoulder down and back. One more big deep breath here. I'm tighter on this side, so I might stay longer here. And you, again, can do what works for you. And then you're going to stack those legs in front of you in a chair position. Stack your arms one on top of the other, palms facing each other. Rest your head if you can. Take your top arm, drag it across your bottom one, then across the chest. Look behind you as you open up the chest and rotate the rib cage around. Hips remaining stacked. And then bend the right or the top arm and drag it beyond the length of the other arm as you unfold it. And we'll do this 2 more times. Take it at your own pace. Just remember to try to keep your hips stacked. You may notice a big difference on this side compared to the other. If you look behind you, you'll generally be able to turn a little further. And unwind. One more time. And reach that top arm beyond the bottom arm. Excellent. So when you finish, you're going to roll to your back, and we're going to stretch the muscles of the hips and the legs. So from here, make sure your strap is within reach. We don't need it just yet, but you might use it for this first one. I'm not going to use it, but what I want you to do is take your right ankle over your left thigh, and then you're going to pull your left leg up into a chair position. I like to wrap my hands around the back of my left thigh and draw the left thigh in as I push with my elbow my right knee backwards. Now again, if you're really tight, you might use the strap over your left foot and use your arms to pull that leg in and use your right elbow to push your right knee backwards. So either way, whatever works for you. I don't like using the strap on this one. The other thing is you can kind of cheat yourself by bringing your tailbone off the mat, which happens if you're really tight. But try to press your tail down towards the floor as you're dragging your knees in towards you, and you will feel a right outer hip, right glute muscle area stretch. It's called your piriformis muscle. And again, holding this for anywhere from 30 seconds to 2 minutes. If this bothers your knee at all, just flex your feet really strongly, like by pulling your toes towards your knee, and that will help. And then we're going to switch legs. So left ankle over right thigh, and then draw that right leg up. Wrap your hands around the right thigh. As you're pulling your right leg in, you're kind of gently pressing your left knee back. Flex your feet to protect your knees, and keep pushing your tailbone towards the floor. Sometimes when you're really tight, 5 seconds can feel like 5 minutes, but do your best to hold this for a good 30 seconds up to 2 minutes. And just breathe deeply, try to relax your head, neck, and shoulders. And And then you can put your feet down, grab your band. I have metal on the end of this belt, so just be careful if you do as well. Put your right foot up in the middle of the strap and either holding on to the strap with both hands or one hand, however you want to do it. I like to hold with, I kind of change it around, but I like to hold with two hands, at least for right now. And then gently draw the leg up towards you. Now if you're flexible enough, lower and lengthen your left leg, or the leg that's not up in the strap. And then again, you're trying to pull this leg towards you. If you can't get your knee all the way straight, that's fine. Even though you're having to hold on to the band, try to relax your head, neck, and shoulders. Keep your abdomen drawn down towards your spine. And notice if you sickle your foot at all. Try not to rotate the ankle. Try to keep your foot flat on the ceiling as though you're putting your footprint on the ceiling. And breathe deep. This is stretching your hamstring, which is in the back of your thigh. You might feel a little calf stretch and glute stretch as well. And then we're going to do the outer thigh, so the IT band area. You're going to keep your footprint flat on the ceiling as you cross the midline. Now, if this is really excruciating and you mostly feel hamstring, you might have to lower your leg away from your face down a little bit when you cross over. So just kind of find that sweet spot. And again, make sure that you're not supinating your foot, that you're pulling your pinky toe down towards the outer hip, the right outer hip, if it's your right leg that you're working on. And you should feel this all on the outside of the hip, the knee. Again, if you don't, and you mostly feel the back of your thigh, your hamstring, you might need to lower a little bit. And you don't want to go so far across that your pelvis goes with you. You want to try to keep your hips flat on the mat as you cross the midline with this top leg. And then you're going to open the leg to the side to get an inner thigh stretch. I like to hold on generally with one hand. Now I just tend to open my legs into the shape of an L. If you want to, you can bend your opposite leg and let it turn open as well. But again, I like to keep it straight. Do what works for you. Whatever prevents you from tilting your hips, you don't want your hips to go with your leg. You just want the leg to open up. And breathe and try to relax the head, neck, and shoulders. You're going to lift your leg to the sky, put both feet up in the strap before we switch sides, and just gently pull both legs towards you. Press your tailbone towards the floor. This stretches both hamstrings. I'm sure you can feel it. And then we'll switch to the left leg. So hamstring stretch for the left leg. Right knee can be bent if you're really feeling tight or if you're feeling any pain or overly stretching in through your back. And breathe, oxygenate those muscles. My left side tends to be my tighter side with this one, so I generally stay here a little bit longer. And then you're going to keep your footprint flat on the ceiling as you cross the midline. Remember, this is a really tight one for most of us, so if need be, you can lower your leg down. But you do want to try to keep your knees straight on this. And if you flatten your footprint on the ceiling with this one, you will really feel the stretch. If you let your foot roll, and like I said, supinate, pronate, all the different things we can tend to do with our ankles and our feet, then you might not feel the stretch as much, but flat footprint on the ceiling will make you feel it. And then we're going to do the inner thigh stretch, opening up that leg. Again, you can bend your opposite knee on a turned out position if that gives you a more intense stretch. And then lift up, and one more time you're going to put both feet in the strap and stretch both hamstrings. You might notice that you can stretch them even a little bit better than before. And then you're going to set your band down and put your feet wide on the floor, on your mat, to the outer edges of your mat if you're on one. And I want you to drop your knees to the right, head to the left. So when my knees fall to the right, I'm really aiming my left knee towards my right heel to open up the front of this hip flexor. And then over to the other side. Remember to look in the opposite direction. I'm not just twisting my waist here, I'm actually trying to get a hip flexor stretch through the top of my hip by letting my knee internally rotate and fall towards the floor. And then unwind. I'm going to have you come up to sitting. You can grab the back of your leg and roll yourself up. And I want you to straighten out both legs on the mat. And then I want you to take your right foot, bend the knee and put the foot outside the left leg so it crosses over. And then you're going to grab with your left hand to that right knee and twist yourself to the right. Grow really tall. So I put my right hand on the floor by my hips and I push myself into a tall lifted position and then turn to the right. I'm pulling with my left hand on my knee as it crosses my body and I rotate, and then I breathe really deeply. Unwind, and we're going to go to the other side. So right leg straightens, left knee crosses outside the right leg, and then I pull on the knee as I twist to the left. And put your hands on the floor or a block or wherever you can reach to, the wall maybe if it's close to you, to give you some leverage. And breathe deeply, look back behind you. It's really important when you're stretching, especially for a sport that uses so much does so much hip movement, shoulder movement. It's just important to stretch all of the joints, all of the areas of the body, and especially keep your waist nice and mobile. One more big deep breath. And then when you unwind, we're just gonna finish with a forward fold. So legs straight out, they can be together or apart. And then just go ahead and fold yourself forward to get one last hamstring stretch. Let your head hang down. Pull gently on your shins or your feet if you can reach them. I even like to kind of, as I'm staying forward, I push one foot beyond the length of the other to get into my hips a little bit deeper. And then I switch. And then curl up the spine. And you did it. Great job, everyone. I hope you enjoyed it. Remember just to be really careful not to go into a danger zone, just a nice, cautious stretch.